How does vibrato happen? Well, the science on that is still out. It has been the entire time I've been a voice teacher. This is something I've talked about many times for many years. The more I do research on vibrato, the more I find more opportunities to do research on vibrato. The data is extensive and never ending. So there are plenty of great, incredibly educated, intensely intelligent people who disagree about the science of vibrato. Some of the information I find on vibrato has come from texts as far back as before I was born, and even articles that came out maybe a few months ago, and everyone is still trying to figure everything out. There are so many variables. All that is to say, there are many schools of thought on how vibrato happens and the whys of it, but the two that I tend to lean towards are vibrato being the result of oscillating breath. And that is something I even teach as a voice teacher, spinning air, spinning breath. And if you take voice, you might have heard this before, where we want the air to spin out. So when it comes to oscillating air creating vibrato, the idea is that the breath is oscillating, therefore the voice then oscillates. So that's how we get the vibrato wave. The larynx and the folds are relatively stable, but it's the air, the subglottal air, the air coming from below your glottis, so from your lungs and up. That subglottal air is what's oscillating and creating then the vibrato. And so your folds are essentially staying stable. They're still vibrating, that's how you create sound, but they're stable. Whereas the other side of that argument, or the other idea that I also lean towards, it can also be a neurological result of the oscillating of the cricothyroid and other muscles, meaning that the oscillating or the undulating vocal quality is actually coming from the larynx. And in this kind of vibrato, the air pressure is actually balanced with the folds. It's also believed that this is neurological, so it can actually be affected by age. And that makes sense to me because oftentimes the older you get, the slower your vibrato is. And this would also mean the nervous system affects vibrato. And I know for a fact that when I'm nervous or when I'm dealing in fight or flight, if I'm anxious, if I'm excited, my vibrato is faster. You may have experienced that as well in your own life. You might notice that in auditions. For some reason, your vibrato gets like this when you're in an audition, when you're dealing with nerves. And so if there is a neurological connection between your voice and vibrato, that would make complete sense that your vibrato would be faster when you're nervous. Also, this is the style of vibrato that would mean it comes from the most natural position of your vocal folds and your larynx. So tensionless singing would then produce a clear and consistent vibrato.